What's up, Deb?
Oh, I didn't know it started. Happy Tuesday.
I feel like the countdown's for people like you. Jeez.
Well, it went away so fast that I went.
I feel like you always take a big drink of your water or whatever you're drinking. What are you drinking tonight? Is it just water?
It's just water.
Okay.
I'm so dehydrated.
All right. Yeah, just not enough water throughout the day?
No, well, I just did too much drinking in Nashville and not.
All right. Okay. There we go.
Too many beers and not enough water. So I'm catching up.
Gotcha. Well, there we go. How was your trip?
It was good. It was really fun. I would definitely go back, or at least spend more time there. I was there Thursday through Monday morning, so essentially Sunday night.
I feel like it's one of the big places, right? It's one of the what 2 or 3 places that a lot of people from California moved to recently.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Tennessee, Texas, and like Arizona? Well, those kind of the 3 big ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really funny listening to our Uber drivers. So like we were trying to like hang out with locals or find locals, and the most local people were our Uber drivers. Come to find, which makes sense. And they would always ask, where are y'all from? Or all 3 of us are silent for a second, and we're like, California, like, and they're like, oh, cool, and they're like, we just know that you guys aren't fond of California because we all keep moving here. And he's, they would, there was one guy, he was laughing, and we're like, don't worry, we're not moving here. And he's like, whatever, you guys are here to scope the place out. I see what you're doing. And
he was on to you.
Yeah. Yeah. We were on Broadway a few nights. The amount of bachelorette and bachelor parties we saw, mostly bachelorette parties. I can't tell you how many brides to be. How do I say that word? Anyway, I can't tell you how many future brides I saw. And the first night there, we didn't realize that it was like the bachelorette capital of our.
Interesting. Country. I didn't know that either.
Right, or at least that's what someone said. So the first night, we're like, we see like a couple parties here. And we're like, let's take a shot for every bachelorette party we see. And I'm glad we didn't do that.
Probably a good idea.
We were hospitalized very quickly.
Now, could you look at those groups and obviously you've mentioned on this show before that you are a divorcee. So you have some experience on both sides of the experience there. Can you look at some of these bachelorette parties and think this is not going to work out just by looking at the one person?
It's funny. So on the plane there. Sorry, I have to start with this part.
Okay, please do.
On my plane to Nashville, I sat next to this really nice girl from SAC, because it's leaving from SAC, obviously. She was going to Nashville for work. But anyway, before I found all that out, we just sat next to each other, and that was it, and said hi, and
Hold on, can I pause your story? Put a pin in that. I've never even thought about this in all these years of podcasting with you. Are you a talker on flights?
It depends on my mood. If I'm
will you start it?
Sometimes it depends on my mood. So I started this one on accident. But for example, on the way home, when I have like no sleep, I have my hood on, I'm like asleep already, or I'm pretending to be asleep, or I have an AirPod in. Like there's like, if I'm like in a good mood and bored, and then yeah, I'll start talking.
Okay.
But if I'm on the way home, there was no talking to me on the way home. Like no way.
Okay,
like,
so basically,
I wanted to on the way home.
Sure. Okay, so basically, yes, you are a talker unless you're just too exhausted to care, and then you're out.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Carry on.
Okay, so the plane there, we haven't even taken off yet. It's a little rowdy on the plane. It's mid-morning. It's like, or is it morning? I think it was 9 or 10. Anyway, the one of the flight attendants announced like, oh, someone, basically there was a party on the plane, like a bachelorette party. I forget how they announced it. And then, the girls are like, woo. And
that would suck.
And I leaned over to the girl next to me and I was like, don't do it. And then the girl next to me looks at me and she's like, actually, I just had mine a few weeks ago.
Oh, her
Her bachelor
bachelor party.
party.
Okay, they met like her divorce. Like, ooh,
I was like, oh, just kidding. It's fine.
that's funny.
She started laughing and I was like, I'm divorced. So I like to make that joke. And she's like, I don't care. But she and I ended up talking for
She
the
was
end,
right to feel that way.
right? It was just so like, oops, like you're gonna get married. You know, it's like, when's your wedding? And she's like, September. So anyway, so she and I ended up talking the whole flight because we connected. But
Did she
um,
change her mind by the end of the flight? She's like, you know what? Maybe Deb's right. Maybe I don't want to do this thing.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
I did not talk her out of it. Actually, in fact,
Have you ever tried talking someone out of it?
no, no, I won't do that.
No, no. I'm like, I don't. You don't have to name names. But has there ever been a situation? If this is too personal, just tell me. Like, have you ever like a friend or like a you know what I mean someone you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe it's not because of the idea of marriage. I don't think you would ever do that, but because of the situation.
Mm, no, but the opposite has happened to me. So I will say.
All right, it doesn't count, but yeah, okay.
What?
That doesn't really count uh, towards what I'm asking, but fair enough. Yeah,
No, I have not. I haven't yet, at least. Um, but anyway, I don't remember why I started talking about the party. Oh, you were asking, have I been on both both sides? Is that what you were
well, no, I
thinking?
was saying like obviously you have been on both sides of the ball there, and you know you're probably not as judgmental as I am with stuff like that because I like to have fun in those situations. But I'll look at a situation, even like married couples, I'm like they're not gonna make it. This thing's got like 2 years left, and then it's gonna start tanking.
I hope that people getting married will make it. Don't get me wrong. I don't hope they don't make it. But yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm like 50% of marriages end in divorce. Just
You're just
like
dropping statistics on them.
look, we're a statistic right here. 25% and you, 25%. You're still in it. I'm out of it. But
I'm not good at math. I think you meant this podcast partnership. Like, 50% of podcast partners making, the other don't. Like, ooh, oh, she's sending signals again.
hey, we're 50-50. Well, yeah, no. If we're talking doing the work, we're like 90-10. I just sit here. I just sit here and talk.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, 90/10 makes sense.
I never had a bachelorette party though, so I don't know what that's like. Like I didn't have I just went when I got married, we just went to the courthouse.
I was
So
gonna
I
say,
didn't even have a wedding. I wore a red dress. I was wild.
right? No, I'm. Yeah, I think you've shared this story
Yeah.
a couple of times or pieces of it before. So that doesn't surprise me knowing your story. But honestly, I think just knowing how, and I know things have changed, but knowing how well connected you are to your friends right now, even though it's a completely different group than when you got married, I think if I heard that you didn't have a bachelorette party, it would have surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me now because I know the story, but
But yeah, for sure. Yeah, we saw so many. And
yeah,
for a while we're like, are we seeing the same ones? And we're like, nope, that's a different outfit. That's a different bride. We saw so many, but it was fun.
nice.
Yeah, it was Broadway is wild. It's like Las Vegas on crack with country music and bands
Oh,
playing in every single bar on every single level. So
you miss me with that.
it
That sounds like Elm Street to me. Too much country music.
can be for sure. But I loved it. I thought it was fun. It was interesting to see the line dance side of Nashville versus me, line dancing. Now, when I say here, I just know Stonies. I don't know any other line dance place in California or whatever.
Are you still allowed in Stonies?
Yeah. What do you mean by
Oh, okay. Things change. Wasn't sure.
Listen, I have friends at Stony.
I can edit that out.
No, leave it in.
All right, perfect.
I didn't do anything. Okay. No. So, it's line dancing's a big thing there. So at Stony's, it's a lot of line dances, many songs, and then they usually take a break from line dancing and start and do some couples dancing and do like traditional like they'll call out the dance like cowboy cha-cha, whatever, River City cha-cha, or they'll say swing. They'll just,
Is
I'm
it
sorry.
cowboy cha-cha?
Yeah, there's a dance called cowboy cha-cha.
Man, I am very far removed from this world. So
I wouldn't know this either if I didn't go, okay? But so they'll do a few couples dances. Um, and there's like quite a few people out there, not a ton, but sometimes there's more people line dancing. Like that's what people go there for. Um, anyway, so that's what I know. So I was determined to like find some line dance or something. So at the bars on Broadway, and of course these are bars. It's not for line dancing, but there's a little space in front of some of the stages of where the bands play. And a couple of times, like one or two girls would get up and do um, a basic dance, like line dance, and I would jump in and just do it. And so there was that. So I'm like, I want to find a line dance place. So we ventured off of Broadway. We took an Uber, and there was this place called Nashville Palace about 20 minutes or so away, and that was a line dance bar. And oh my god, it was huge. Like this
sounds
stage,
like a strip club.
I mean, it kind of was without the
Like
strip.
Nashville Palace.
Yeah, right. It was a huge. The floor was huge, and there was also a stage area where girls who worked there would do the dance up there too. So I don't know if
Gotcha.
you could follow along. I'm not sure. It was kind of like a production too,
Interesting. Okay.
And so anyway, so I knew a couple of line dances. They just called it a different name, and there was one dance that we do at Stoney's, same music, but I got up to start doing it, but they did it completely differently. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go sit back down. So I just was like watching. I was like, okay, this is different. But they over there, they do like two line dance songs, and then they go, all right, couples, get back out on the floor, and then they do just a freestyle swing for like 5 or 6 songs forever. They just keep going, and they're really good though. So it's like the opposite. So I was like, this is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was
Wait, so did you
interesting.
get out there and do that?
The couples dances, no.
Yeah, the swing dance. You said swing dancing?
Swing, yeah, swing dancing, like
Okay.
freestyle.
But you didn't do any of that.
No, because you need a partner. I was just sitting there. I was just looking around. I
Oh,
was like,
you could have asked someone.
buddy here. No, I don't want to. Here's the thing: is I could. I
Or they
don't.
could have asked you. Was that a possibility?
It's not like the guy. It's not a. Oh, the guy has to ask me. It's that I'm already not a good follow on the dance floor. I'm getting better. I think. So I don't want. I don't want to go up to a guy and ask him unless I know he's competent to be the lead, because I have danced
Sure.
with guys who kind of know what they're doing, and it doesn't help that I'm already not a good follow. So then I
Gotcha. Makes
take
sense.
control, and then we just look like a hot mess out there. So, and there are some guys that don't do, like some guys that just don't dance. So, or,
Sure.
nothing like that. So I'm like, I'm not about to, that's why I don't ever ask guys to dance. I don't know who knows what they're doing because I don't know what I'm doing. So,
Okay. I was just like I said, I'm not used to this world, so I'm not sure what the comfort level is with this or with the normal processes.
a few, but back, back at the bars on Broadway, there was a bar that we liked. We kept going back to. It was kind of like an old school bar that's been there for a while, and other bars just kept being built around it,
Huh.
type thing. And so there were some locals that would go in there, and it was like pretty chill. I danced with a few guys there in front of the stage. So a few guys
Nice.
asked me to dance, and that was fun because I knew what
Very
they were.
cool.
So no one dropped me. I didn't fall. It was great. Um, but now,
Oh, is that a real fear?
yeah, I've been dropped on the dance floor before. This is why I don't ask anyone to dance. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know if you're gonna drop me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm better at
So
line dancing where I'm by myself and no one's touching me. So,
okay, hold on. So when you say drop, what do you mean?
if I can remember,
Like
when
they're
I
not
got
like throwing you up in the air.
no, but when you go to dip someone,
Sure. Okay. So on the
you
dip,
gotta bring me back.
dip and drop.
Yeah, you can't just dip and not catch me.
So okay, this is interesting. This is not what our episode's about tonight, but dipping someone's a big decision, you could say, on the dance floor. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
anyways, I think so. Is it a matter of not?
Um,
Are they overestimating their strength? Do you
I
have
guess
slippery hands?
I I
Are you just sliding right out of their hands?
maybe the strength part, and they don't know how to place their hands to support me because I've danced with like, and it was a last minute thing, like, and that's what you have to do as the like when you're following, you just have they just kind of do it, or you kind of can tell. Or for me, sometimes they have to tell me like, okay, like give me some cues, and he did. He's like kick your leg up and like I'm gonna dip you. So I did, and then all of a sudden I'm on the floor. Now I've danced with guys who won't even say anything and they'll dip me and bring me back up, but they do it so well and they just know how their body needs to be placed to support me.
They know how to do it. Sure.
They know what to do. Yeah. So no, I'm not going to ask someone to dance. And he dropped on my head again. It's embarrassing.
Did you really hit your head?
Yeah, like my whole body went crashing to the ground, like on my back, like it hit my head on the ground, just
I would
laying there.
love. I would pay decent money to hear the sound. I don't need to like see you fall, but I would love to know the sound you make when you hit the ground.
Kaylin said she was watching from afar. All of a sudden, she said, I looked up and I can't see you on the dance floor. She's like, and then people are moved out of the way. She's like, and I saw you on the ground. She's like, I waited until I knew you were like, okay. And then I started cracking up.
That makes
I was like,
sense. That's
thanks,
a good
Kaylin.
friend.
She's a good one.
What did the guy do?
He just laughed and picked me up. I mean, it didn't help that I'd been drinking lots of beer. So I don't know what his state was, more so than mine, probably, because he like almost tumbled down with me. And I'm like, dude, I'm a solid girl, but I don't think I weigh more than you. So can you catch me or not? So this is yeah, it's a struggle.
Interesting. Okay.
So
There you
that
go.
so now anyway, so now I'm determined to go to like Texas and see the line dancing there. That's the
I feel
next.
like a guy in Texas, he's not going to drop you.
I hope not.
I don't
We'll
think
see.
so.
I don't know.
Maybe though. I don't know.
I just will stick to line dancing.
Okay, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So I didn't realize how dangerous this was, especially with your bum hip too.
I'm
Could
not
be
very
that could be fatal.
yeah. I'm not aesthetics has never been my thing. I'm athletic, but the dance world is not my thing. So
Hey, well, you know what? Good for you though. You continue to go out there
yeah,
and do it. Good for you.
because I'm to the point in my life where I just don't care what I look like. If it's fun, I'm going to do it. That is a decision I have made as an adult. Boom, segue.
There you go. I tried to segue earlier, but it wasn't appreciated by you. That's fine.
I missed
I
it.
I know you did. I even sat there like an idiot, like, hey, and you just kept going, like, all right, well, that was no, I feel dumb. All right, go ahead. You can listen to this episode and you can see exactly where it happened and just it's like I was like handing the ball off to you and you just ran right past. Like,
It
oh, I
went.
guess I
I
got
don't even.
sacked.
Yeah, over my head. Yeah, I'll go back and listen. I'm sure it's there.
You're not going to listen. That's fine. Let's keep it moving. Deb, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about decision making as you get older. Decision making. I have a lot of notes. Um, I have like some silly things that are just kind of don't really matter, but are still decisions that go on in my head every day. And then I have some more like in depth, serious ones. So
Okay.
I don't know which one you want me to start with, but here, well, I'll start with the in depth ones, I guess. So um, a category that I wrote down is finances.
Okay.
So, you know, it's almost like, I don't want this episode to feel so much like lessons I would have told my younger self, because that's not what this is. It's just, as for me, as I get older, like I've had to just be mindful of like what I spend my money on and don't get into any more debt. And if I want a certain lifestyle, I have to know that I have to keep working for it in order to keep it. Um, just the fact that I like living alone, but rent in California is awful. Buying a home or renting, whatever the case at this point for a single person, teacher nonetheless.
Sure.
But for me, I'm like, I could easily get a roommate or, move in with some friends and save some money. But for me, I'm like, I am making the choice to live alone, and have more than one job so that I could, you know, keep doing this and keep living like this. And I'm okay with that decision. And it kind of like all these things that I'm going to talk about, it just kind of circles back around to I make these decisions because it brings me peace, or at least it does for now until I change my mind later. But I've also realized that that's okay. The older you get, for changing your mind is okay.
Sure.
But yeah, but that's one of the categories I wrote down. And I put big girl decisions in all caps, finances, making decisions like a big girl. So
Is that a tough, do you find that to be a tough thing? Or do you feel like that's, as far as you and your personality, do you think that's something you do well? Or is it something that, I guess there's a couple of ways you can go with it, right? That's, you can make those decisions and you do it well. You have
mm-hmm.
pretty good judgment on those things. You might just feel comfortable making those decisions, whether they're right or wrong. And, like some people have big swings and big misses. Some people have big swings and big hits. And, but either way, they're just comfortable with making a decision. And then some people, they just really struggle, whether it's something that they know a lot about or something that they're completely blind to. Just any decision is difficult. So where do you feel you fall in that category or those categories?
So, and yeah, in the finance category, I've gotten a lot better. When I was younger and married, I would like credit card, cool. Like this is money, right? Like
Yeah.
spend
Sure.
it hard. Yeah, I'm getting better the older I get, and okay with cutting certain things out and making maneuvers in my like budget and stuff like that. And I'm definitely a lot better at it today than I was yesterday.
Sure.
Didn't come easy for me at first, though. It took a while. It actually took, um, I feel like I've talked about this before. I'm sure I have. It took a while, like, I don't know, 3 years ago, sometime during COVID. I was seeing someone briefly, and he actually, like, he's really good at finance, or he likes talking about finances. I guess I can't speak for him if he's good at it or not, but he likes talking about it. So I was asking him questions one day, and he made me sit down and like write out a budget and like different categories. And he's like, okay, this is how I learned. Da, da, da. It seems so simple. Like it seems so like, duh, write down the things you owe every month, like rent, car,
Sure.
XYZ, and then write down all the other things. Like it's simple, but I never like sat down and like actually wrote those things down to like budget. And I think some people are scared to do that, to like to like come face to face with like, oh shit, like I'm spending way too much money on beer, like that
Sure.
type of thing. I think that was my eye opener. Like I went back and looked at my statements, and I did categories like I don't know, like Amazon shopping, groceries, eating out, like going out to eat, alcohol. And the amount of money I spent on eating out and alcohol, I was like, it just made me sick. I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God. So, like, that was an eye opener for me. And, unfortunately, I just learned how to do that not too long ago. So it's just, I don't know. For me, it's just all about like just facing it and just be like, well, this is what you can spend your money on so that you can do XYZ. So it's a mental thing for sure that it's taken me a while to finally get comfortable, like being okay with
Sure.
finances. So,
Sure.
um, yeah, I was never great at it when I was younger, but I'm a lot better now. Yeah.
But as far as the decision making side of that, you feel
Always.
like
Yeah.
you think you're pretty good at making those decisions. Like when it comes, because I think one of the important things that you just said there was making the difficult decisions, like you said, looking at it,
Yeah.
taking a realistic inventory of
Hmm.
everything you're spending, and then making some hard decisions, right? Or and I guess that's the thing with some of these things is that you always have different options,
Hmm.
right? No matter what position you're in, you always have various options. It just depends on how you want to go about doing it, right? For some people, it might be, um, like for yourself, for example, you could just do or just be a teacher, just have your teacher's salary, and then choose to make certain cuts from your life and some of the things that you enjoy doing, or make certain adjustments here or there. But you've made the conscious decision to say, no, I enjoy doing those things. So rather than cutting something, you're
Hmm.
going to increase the amount of money that you're bringing in by getting a second job, which means more work, right? It means more things that you have to do in order to get to the things that you want to do. But that's the decision you made. Other people may not want to do that. And it's like, no, it's easier for me to sacrifice and cut things, but my time is valuable in this sense. So I don't want to get a second job, right? It's not worth it. So it's like there's always different ways you can do it. And so I think that's an important piece of it. You know what I mean? There's more to it than that, just that. But
Yeah.
you know, it really does come down to like we were talking about decisions that you make
Mm-hmm.
and which ones you feel comfortable doing and which ones you can live with. And then there's also like which ones you can't live without. And
Yeah.
then trying to find how you can manage all those different things. So I mean, it seems like you're pretty at peace with the decision making side of things now, but um, I mean, did it take you a while to get to that point where, because like you said, understanding your budget and all that stuff is one thing, but like actually having the ability to make the decisions of what stays and what goes
Mm-hmm.
is kind of what we're talking about here, right? So
Yeah.
at what point do you feel like you got comfortable with making decisions like that?
I feel like it was honestly, if I could be honest, probably recently, probably within the last 3 years, like completely comfortable with saying no to things and then, choosing, like you said, to have another job or what I do or what kind of job I have. And that's why like I've had many different second jobs and they would kind of come and go and they would work for me for a little bit and not work for me. So being able to make that decision and being like, no, that's not working. Like, let me try something else. And sticking with that if it is working for me, like I've gotten a lot better with just making those decisions for sure. Just because
Yeah,
I know the end result at this point, or I know what the end result could be. Um, yeah, and I'm not afraid to try new things. So it makes the decision process easier.
sure.
And and the older I get, I'm just kind of like I don't need a ton of things anymore. So it makes it easier to eliminate things too. Not only have a second job to keep making the money so I can do the things that I want to do, but also like not continuously still like running, chasing, I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but like making money but keep buying things that I don't need and still
Sure.
accumulating debt. So yeah, I mean, I'm learning every year. I learn something new about what I need and don't need and want and don't want. But I'm pretty good at making that decision to be like, yep, I'm doing this. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm in a little bit, obviously a little bit of a different situation because
Mhm.
of having being married and having kids. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where yeah, the decision making on some of those things it's interesting because I think having kids and having a family, some of those decisions become, at least for me, I know it's not the case for everybody, but some of those decisions become much easier because the amount of decisions or choices you have are fewer, right? Like there's certain things that are non-negotiable. So if certain needs aren't met for your family, the kids specifically, you could continue to make reckless choices financially, but ultimately it's going to affect people that are in your care. And so in some ways it makes the decision making even easier because like there's some decisions like, well, there's really no decision making here. It's like you either do it or you don't, and the thing that you're supposed to do you need to do. So it's a little bit different there, which like in a weird way some people would see it as, you know, you're limited in the decisions, but it also makes the decision making a lot easier, you know,
Yeah.
in some ways. And then, you know, I think for me, you know, yeah, it's just interesting. And some of those decisions you have to make. And I know plenty of people that make other decisions that I wouldn't personally make. Um, and at the end of the day, it's kind of like, you know, what we've been talking about. You kind of have to, whatever you live with is fine. But I do think, you know, in our situation, it's just a little bit different as far as some of those financial decisions that you make.
Yeah.
And, but again, there is also times where you feel the pressure of those decisions because the ramifications are so big too. Not that, you know, financial decisions for you aren't a big deal, but you know, for us, you have two little people that are depending on you making those right decisions and continuing to bring money in consistently. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. Like we still have choice. You still have choices. We still have choices that we have to make. But um, at the end of the day, I think if you kind of black and white it, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be as difficult. There's just things that you've got to do, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I can imagine like, and I hope, I know that you and Rachel do this, and I hope people do this, how when they have, kids and littles, but like the decision of like your family comes first, like that's already like said and done on a lot of decisions, I'm
sure,
sure. Yeah.
sure,
So, and then um for me, well, I have a dog now, so
sure,
it's not
yeah,
a child, it's not a kid, it's not a kid, but it's like, but it's a
still in your care,
but it's a responsibility, right? And so, just having this dog now, after not having a dog for 3 years, yeah, I've some decisions I've had to, like, that was a choice I made, and so now my day-to-day decisions have shifted. Like, I need to come home at a certain time to let her out. I need to switch my massage schedules just a little bit, just so I can let her out and then go to my appointment. And so, but I'm choosing to do that, and I'm okay with that. And it's not a, oh, like I don't know if I can do this. No, I already have her. Like I'm not. She's not going anywhere. So I'm gonna choose to fix my schedule for her. I've done it before, and so there's another decision making thing the older I get. So you froze a little. Did I freeze too? Are we
you
good?
did too. I smiled and waited for you to finish.
I'm
I
back.
was hoping I
Yeah,
was hoping that you were still talking.
I was still talking. Yeah, I'm back. Hopefully it caught that. So, um,
Um, yeah, no, that's good. I want to hear your because I could go off on different branches here, but I'm gonna wait
no,
until you say whatever else you have on your list.
no, I mean that kind of goes nicely into decisions on how you spend your time. So
Sure.
that was my categories too. Is time spent.
Yeah.
So I'm. Oh God, I used to be horrible at deciding, what, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't so certain when I was younger about like what to do, and should I do this, should I do that? I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, like I want to make sure this person's taken care of, and then I wouldn't like make sure that my needs were met. Anyway, sorry, I know I'm like being very broad when I say time spent. So narrowing it down, like spending time with friends versus spending time alone versus spending time with family,
Sure.
and just being selective about what I do with my time and how I want to spend it, and how much time I am going to spend on my second job, and how much time I am going to spend, now I have a dog, making sure I'm home with her and she's being walked and all that stuff, and making sure I'm not neglecting my friends all the while
Right.
because I have a dog now. And making sure I still leave time for a dating life if I want to do that. Now
Sure.
that's like always on the back burner. That's always been that's a bottomless priority for me and has been for a while, and I'm okay with that. So that's another decision, that I'm okay with making with how I spend my time. It almost goes like, and it shifts, right? The older we get, for me, it almost goes. Here's the top is like I hate to put me at the top, but I have to sometimes. So
Hmm.
like how I want to spend my time. And then here's family and friends, and they go back and forth because my friends are my family,
Sure.
and spending time with them. And obviously Nala is, and they're at the top now. And then work stuff. And then of course, like we have like podcasting, and then here's dating way at the bottom right now. And that's okay. And then there's health and fitness, there's eating, there's all kinds of, um, yeah, I don't know. There's so many things we can cover, but
Wait, so hold on. So just so I'm clear. So podcasting is at least fourth down. Is that correct?
at least fourth down.
Okay.
Podcast
Fair.
is built in for me because I'm all about routine. So we're good.
Perfect.
My friends know that I podcast on Tuesdays. All of them do.
Sure.
Like there was one, I don't know if it was a Tuesday where we didn't record or we recorded earlier in the day. And I was out doing something, or I was running, I don't know what I was doing. But me and my friends, we all have each other's locations. Yes, we're stalkers, safety, quote, safety reasons. And one of my friends is like, what? I thought you were podcasting. It's Tuesday. It's 8:30. Why are you not at home? And I was like, oh, we podcasted earlier. And she's like, thanks for telling me. Like, so if I'm on schedule, my friend's like, you could have told me so we could have hung out. But no,
There you go.
yeah, no, that's a routine for me. We're good. But yeah, time spent. I think I'm really. Sometimes I struggle, maybe, but I'm pretty good at the decisions I make with how I spend my time and what I want to do with my time because time is, we don't have much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much. This needs to be addressed. No one else is going to be able to see this, hopefully, because the video will look much better. Right now, you're really blurry.
No.
And for some reason, it looks like you have an awful, awful spray tan. That's what it looks like from my perspective right now. Like you just went like, I don't know, hit me with it. And they just sprayed you real quick, like a drive by. And then like, that's good enough. It looks so weird right now. It had to be said.
You
I
know,
can't.
I've never had a spray tan before. I used to go into the tanning beds that are horrible for you, like when I was in high school, and like put the
Oh,
little, I don't know, you don't know anything about this life, but I would put like the little heart stickers like on my hip to see like all the girls that I'm talking about, to see
sure.
like how dark you get.
Sure.
Oh, so bad, so awful for you. But now that I'm like, I don't want to get skin cancer, I just put self tanning lotion on every day in the summer. Not on my face, but like my legs are the last things to get tan. So I just
Sure.
put it on my legs. But I've never gotten a spray tan before.
All right.
So,
Well, you're right now, your face says otherwise. Your
okay.
face says that you just went and then done. That's okay. Like I said, I had to mention it because it's driving me crazy right now because you're very blurry and it looks like someone did an awful job on that. So, anyways, everything you said was great. Yeah. No, no, I agree. I think, I've said this on this podcast before, even though I do a podcast, I love the conversations that we have on this podcast with people and connecting with people. I, I've always kept the circle of friends pretty tight. And so if I'm choosing, this is for anybody that I choose to spend my time with. If I spend my time with you, just know it's never out of obligation. And it's because I truly enjoy your company. So that's important for people to know because I'm just not someone, I think we've talked about this before. I'm not someone who feels guilty about saying no. And so, it's never meant to be cold hearted, but I've never had that issue. And so if I say yes to something, that means I really actually want to be there and it's not out of obligation. So, because yeah, I agree. The time is valuable. And, again, I hate to keep pointing back to it, but it's just the reality of the situation. Having a family, having kids, having a wife, the time again is it's shaped a little bit differently for me. So my amount of time, the amount of free time that I have, the amount of time that I have to do certain things that I love doing, it changes. And that's part of the decision of having a family, right? Like you understand that that's all that stuff's going to shift and you still have opportunities to do the things that you love doing, but it's just going to change when you can do those things. And I've always said for certain things, if you really love it, if you're really passionate about something, you will find a way to do it. And if you don't find a way to do it, then it maybe you weren't as passionate about it as you thought you were. With podcasting, we've always found a way to record, edit, do something, even when it wasn't convenient, even when we had, not you and me, but me and my wife had a newborn or two young kids. I was always able to find a way to do it. Not because I'm special by any means or I'm a great podcaster, but like I'm just that passionate about it. I love doing it. So sure, stay up until 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. We'll do it. That's fine. We record at random times because we can fit it into our schedule. We'll do it. And so I do think that whether it's spending time with people or finding time to do the things that I love doing, I think if you really are passionate about those things, and it really does mean a lot to you, you will find a way to make it work. But again, it usually comes at a sacrifice of something. Like I think there's very few things in life where you don't have to sacrifice something. It might be a small sacrifice or it might be a massive sacrifice. But I think any decision you make, any choice that you make, anything that you go out to do, like there's always like a little bit of a sacrifice that you have to make. For example, I love podcasting. Podcasting, editing, and recording takes some time. I also want to spend time with my kids because my family's first and they always will be. So what does that mean? How do those two things work together? Well, I might have to wake up early to do the podcasting or stay up later to do the podcasting stuff to make it work. Now, where's the sacrifice? Sometimes sleep. I'm okay with that. Like it's not that big of a deal for me. For other people, they're like, if I don't get a certain amount of sleep, I'll kill someone. Like I will be on a documentary about how I murdered someone because I couldn't handle all these things and I didn't get enough sleep. That's not me. So I can sacrifice some sleep and I'll be okay. But like I think the thing is like there's always sacrifice somewhere when you're
Yeah.
making decisions. Like I just don't think there's too many decisions we make where it's just you can make a decision and it's free of consequence. It's free of any kind of um, ramifications. Like I don't know of too many decisions that are like that. And if they are, they're really not big decisions, right? Like they're just kind of like, hey, what do you want to eat? Pizza or cheeseburgers? It's like I don't know. Both are probably gonna make me fat. I guess that's where the sacrifice comes in. But both are delicious. I'm just gonna pick one, and it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Other decisions, like you've said, with your finances or with starting a second job or dating or all these different things. Like yeah, or just what you're talking about, spending time with people.
Yeah.
If you choose to like you said, for yourself, sometimes you're at the top of the list and it's like I just need to spend some time with myself. I can't be around people right now. That's great. That's what's necessary for you and your health in that moment. But the sacrifice is you may not spend some quality time with people that you love. That's
Yeah.
not a bad thing, but at the end of the day it does come down to a decision. So
Mhm.
you know it is an interesting thing, but I think anybody who thinks they can make those decisions without any kind of you know sacrifice or ramifications, like I think that's crazy, and I think that's what makes it so difficult. I think once you understand that and
Mhm.
you put all those things into perspective, I think it makes the decision making a lot easier, right? But I
Yeah.
think when you think you can do all of it without losing anything,
Mhm.
that's going to make decision making really tough because it's impossible.
Yeah. And
Sorry, it's a long rant. I
no,
apologize.
I was thinking
Drink some
as
water.
to it, our brains don't develop until we're 24-ish or so scientists say.
I'm in the or so category. I'm 35 and I'm still not sure I'm there.
I'm saying that because I got married when I was 22. So I'm just saying, and I work with teenagers. And so I'm just like, I forget that their brains aren't developed yet because I find myself getting frustrated at some of the decisions that they make. Obviously, they're kids. Um, there's grown ass people our age and older, that are making dumb decisions. I'm one of
Sure.
them sometimes. So, um, but it's just every decision that we make, like you said, there, something is going to happen. Like, for example, so I'm teaching summer school right now, and I have kids are trying to trying to recover their credits, and I can see their progress on my computer because they're doing like online classes. And there's a couple who are like, unless they all of a sudden start working at lightning speed, they're not going to make it.
Sure.
And I'm like, you're choosing to sit here and waste your summer and not do this and still be behind.
Right.
Got it. Like they know what they're doing. I
Yeah.
don't know that they fully know the consequence of being so far behind that they're not even going to get to stay at this school their junior year. Because there comes a point where they get, I don't know the process exactly, but if you're so far behind in credits, you got to go to a continuation school or
Sure.
something else, an alternative education system
Right.
that works better for you. And that helps sometimes. Honestly, I've seen a lot of kids like recover their credits and do just fine. But anyway, it's just interesting watching my teenagers like make the choices that they make, full well knowing what the consequence is going to be and not caring. I mean, that's a whole different topic. We don't need to get into that because then, yeah, some of them have rough lives. Like it just, we don't need to get into that. But
Sure.
the older we get as adults, it's like the decisions we make today are going to affect tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, like you brought up the whole sleep thing. Like sometimes here's a decision that I struggle with sometimes. I'm in bed, I'm about to go to bed, but I'm watching Grey's Anatomy and it's an awesome episode and I got to see what happens next, and all of a sudden I look at my phone and it's 11:30. And I'm like, well, I got to get up at 5:45. Do I keep watching and I just suck it up and I rally tomorrow? Or do I know that I'm going to be so cranky and tired and I have a headache tomorrow? I just go to sleep, just turn it off and go to sleep.
There you
Like,
go.
why not? And I'm
What usually
usually
wins?
Uh, lately it's been 50-50, but I try to turn it off and just kind of lay there and go to sleep because I know that I'm not going to feel great in the morning if I don't get enough sleep. So
Sure.
that's a silly decision that I have trouble with. But yeah, going back to the time spent thing, I think I do pretty good in like deciding my time and being like, nope, it's time to hang out with friends. It's time to be by myself. It's time to see family. I'm trying to make more of an effort seeing my family these days just because I don't get to see them very often.
Sure.
Um, yeah. Excuse me. It's
Yeah, that
crazy.
makes. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, I was going to say it's crazy being an adult and we got to make decisions.
Yeah. Well, to go along with that point, and obviously, I appreciate what you said about you make that decision, but you also understand what the consequences are as an adult, right? Because I agree with everything you said. As a young person, younger people are able to make decisions like rash decisions quickly because they're not thinking about the consequences, right? So it helps in the decision making. Doesn't mean that the decision making is the best decision making, but like they can make decisions quicker because there's no thought of, oh, what if I do this, or if I do this, then what happens that like then. That's not part of the process. Like I'm just gonna make this decision because it feels right in the moment. So it makes decision making easier, but maybe not making the right choice easier, But as adults, you make that decision, and I always have a t- I always I've always it's like a pet peeve of mine. I'm sure I've brought it up before. I have a really tough time with people who make decisions, and I'm not talking about major decisions that are life or death. I'm not talking about major like financial decisions. I'm talking about the simple decisions like you're talking about, where I'm going to make the decision to stay up late and binge a show, and then the next morning I'm going to pay the price, and then I'm going to complain about it to everybody, like, oh, I'm so tired, and you're dragging, like it's like you made this decision. Like I cannot feel sorry for you because it wasn't like someone held a gun to your head and said, hey, you will watch another episode. I don't care how tired you are, you're going to watch it. That didn't happen. Maybe for somebody it did, but I'm assuming that's not been the case with you, Deb. And so you make that decision. It's like, no, you got to suck it up the next day. And no one wants to hear how tired you are because you could have prevented this. So
Yeah.
it's on you, right? Like I've told my wife that. I said, I'm never going to come to you and say, hey, I'm so tired because I stayed up until 3 a.m. working on a podcast or doing something else that was, binging a show, whatever. And then, or playing video games with my brother. We've done it. Am I too old to play at that early in the morning? Probably, but I still do it. But I told her, I said, you'll never, ever have to worry about me complaining or being a baby in the morning because I'm so tired and I can't play with the kids. And it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. And I
Yeah.
said, because that's my decision. It's like my decision, so I'm going to suck it up. And if the kids are like, hey, let's play this game, let's run around, guess what? I'm going to play the game and I'm going to run around no matter how tired I am because
Yeah.
it's my own fault. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that in some situations, like it's like, oh, daddy's a wimp and he can't handle it. You know what I mean? It's not their fault. It's like, yeah, you're going to play with them. And if that's you, if you're a dad and that's you, yeah, I'm talking to you. You need to suck it up.
Calling you out.
I am, because it's ridiculous. Some of these dudes I've
Well,
seen, it's like everybody's tired. Like we don't need to hear how tired you are, especially
yeah.
like there's people that have real issues. You
Hmm.
know, everybody has different situations, but like there's some people that they're in their position, they're in their situation, not by choice, but because life just they got dealt a bad hand.
Hmm.
Those people don't complain, and they have like the right to complain. And so these
Yeah.
people that are making decisions that are well within, like it's like, oh, I stayed up so late, binge watching a show. Like I don't know, you want me to feel bad for you? I can't feel bad for you. You're an adult. No, again, no one's forcing you to do this.
Hmm.
So in some of those situations, like when it's again, people have different circumstances. You're tired, stressful, work's crazy. You're tired. I get that. But when you make decisions that you don't need to make, it's like I can't feel sorry for you. I wouldn't want anybody to feel sorry for me when I make dumb decisions. I just can't. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's heartless, Deb. If that's heartless, you can let me know. But
No. And one of a friend told me a while ago, if you don't change it, then you're choosing it. So like we have the power to make our own decisions. Like you said, some people don't have a choice with some certain things and
sure.
dealt a bad hand and that certainly happens. But yeah, you're right. Those are the people who don't complain about it or don't say anything and they just kind of just suck it up and just go because they know they don't have any other choice. and the ones that are making these decisions that on their own accord, they don't have to do this, and then they're constantly complaining. It's like, I mean, I'm sure I'm guilty of it at some point in my life. Like it just
I'm sure we all are. I'm not
we
saying
all
I've never done it. Yeah.
right. But like, I mean, I'm to the point to like, if I'm gonna bitch about it, like I better think before I bitch about it. Like, did I do this to myself? Probably. And
Hmm.
and me and my friends and I will jokingly bitch about things,
Sure.
but just jokingly bitch about it, if that makes sense. Not like
Well,
for real. We'll just
no, yeah.
like,
There's a difference. Like just having conversations like
no,
from I'm so tired from teaching and then massage. Like, I'm just super tired. It's the people. I think for me it's the people who want. It's like they want the sympathy. It's like you
well,
should feel bad for me because this has been really difficult. I don't feel
yeah,
bad for you because I can point out, I don't even know you that well. I can point out like 5 things that you probably could have done differently to avoid this. So it's
yeah.
like talking amongst friends saying I'm exhausted. That's not a big deal. That's part of life. I'm talking about like people who are like, you can tell it's like, oh, you want me to feel bad for you.
Attention.
Yeah. You want my attention. I just said it 5 minutes ago. I'm not interested in doing that. Not going to happen. It's like I have other people that I would rather spend time with that are not going to complain about these silly things. They have real things to complain about. I'm not going to sit here for this. This is nonsense.
Yeah. Well, my like for the Grey's Anatomy thing, like for example, like I'll text my friends and say like, something like, not me staying up until like 1 in the morning watching Grey's Anatomy, and now I'm like hella
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
Like this, but so we'll jokingly bitch, but we'll make sure to start by saying, hey, this is what I chose to do, and now I feel it's almost like it's like a regret. It's like we're
Sure.
voicing our
Sure.
regret about like why did I choose to stay up late and
Yeah.
drink until 3 in the morning in Nashville and think that I could run off 2 hours on sleep and ride planes all day? I don't know why I thought I could do that. Was I grumpy all day? Yeah. Do I still feel a little nauseous today? Yeah. But I chose to do it. So I'm not
Yeah.
gonna still gonna go about my day, still gonna go to work.
Life goes on.
Pop some ibuprofen and bitch to Kaylin about it on through with one text strand and be done about it. Be like, okay,
Oh, you know what? This is a complete. You mentioned ibuprofen. It just
yeah,
it connected it with this in my head. I didn't tell you this. So since we last podcasted, this was crazy. And so I was in our garage. We a couple years ago we bought a bench, like an adjustable bench that could incline, decline, all that stuff, and then a set of like those Bowflex adjustable dumbbells. It's been great. It's really given me no excuses not to work out. It's like, I can't make it to the gym. Oh, but you can go 5 feet to your garage and suck it up. So it's been great. Now, these dumbbells only go up to like 52.5 pounds. And so nothing crazy, but like, yeah, it's, for me, I'll say for me, it's like, it's a decent amount of weight. And it's felt good. Like it's getting to the point where it's like that those don't really feel that heavy anymore because it's helped me be consistent. But I was just doing a dumbbell bench, and this only happened one other time, but it's never happened while I was doing the bench. The pin on the bench slipped, and I went backwards with the dumbbells in my hands, the heaviest dumbbells, and it jarred my head. It jarred it so much that my wife came out into the garage like, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, the pin." She's like, "I'm like, ah." I'm like, the pin just dropped. And I said, I didn't drop the dumbbells. I don't even know how. I'm just like, I'm holding them there, and I was like, doosh. And I'm like, oh, that was terrifying. So flash forward the next day, I didn't think much of it. Like my head was fine, and I'm like, my neck and my shoulders are so sore right now. And like, I didn't even do, anything crazy yesterday. I'm like, oh, it was like whiplash, like you would experience like in a car crash. Like I think it jarred my neck in such a way back
cool.
that when I would look up, I just felt like this soreness all the way. It lasts like a day and a half. But I'm like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, no, duh. That's where that pain came from because the whole thing just dropped. It was terrifying, and now I'm just like I tightened it really tight, but now I'm just worried every time I do it
You get some PTSD.
a little bit. I'm like, oh please not this time. They're like the fastest sets ever. Like 1, 2, 3, 10. I don't know, and then I just
That's
move on. But
that's
yeah,
what you
like
that's what
the
you get for going 5 minutes to your going to your home gym and trying to work out.
it's my own fault. I was trying to stay in shape. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's never. It's like I said, it happened one other time, but I was doing like a tricep kickback, so I was like, I had one hand on the bench, I was leaning forward, and it was like, I mean, but like just being completely vulnerable with your back on the bench and just dropping. But like I said, I've never had a sensation like that because I mean, it kind of it jars you a little bit, but you don't really think much of it. And then the next day, it's like, oh yeah, my neck and shoulders really hurt today.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Well, ouch.
So everybody be careful. I did not take ibuprofen, but I thought about it. That was where I made the connection.
Hopefully you're not concussed.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
breathe?
Honestly, if I was, would it make that much of a difference? It's not like people are going to be like, oh, Josh is acting dumb now. He's not making sense. They're like, oh, Josh seems normal. We had no idea he had a concussion.
Not until you're like, Rachel, I feel dizzy.
She's
Just,
like, what else?
well,
What this is not different. You're always dizzy.
he's like, I birthed two kids. I don't want to hear
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's like, oh, your head hurts.
it.
Big dummy. Like, all right, I'm sorry.
But that's a good example. Not you falling. That's awful. But like the whole gym thing,
They
like
weren't. No one was trying to dip me in line
I
dancing.
was trying to dip you. Exactly. Yeah, you did it. That was just yourself. But
Yeah,
like for me, I don't bitch out loud as
sure,
much, but in my own head, I will. Like I bitch about how I can't run anymore. It hurts my hip, and like what am I like? Oh, like I'm just frustrated. But I know that like I have a gym downstairs at my apartment, a nice gym actually. Like I just need to go do it, and I have been, but not as much as I probably should. But I'm not going to bitch about it because I have options, and it's like I can only bitch for so long about my hip. It's like that's not, there are worse things. And like one of my surgeons had to remind me, not that I was acting or not that I was being dramatic or anything. I was just kind of there to like get information. One of my hip surgeons is like, this is not a life threatening situation, but it's a quality of life threatening situation. So
hmm,
I understand if you're frustrated, because I am, but it's like, okay, but if this is the worst thing right now, like I can adjust and it's not that bad. So I could easily, I think, bitch and just annoy the hell out of everybody and lose friends very quickly. My friends would be like, no,
sure.
absolutely. If I just
So
bitched
if
and
you guys
cried.
know, Deb kind of sucks now. Like she
Yeah.
was cool, and now we don't really like her.
I've stopped bitching about the pain. And so now my friends just randomly will ask me, is your hip okay? How are you doing? And I'll just be like, yeah, it's okay. I need to take my pills like I'm supposed to and I'll be fine. So I've just stopped talking about it. And
Yeah,
then, you know, and I think also the more, not that this episode is about complaining, but kind of part of it is because of the decision making thing. But the more you complain about something, the more you give it life. So it's
sure,
like for me, I'm like, let's look at the positive and just start lifting like you're supposed to lift anyway. And
sure.
then that's that. So no excuses, none.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I want to make sure I'm clear too that like what I'm saying is that when you're dealing with some real stuff, I'm not saying that you internalize it, you keep it to yourself, that you
Right.
just suck it up. I'm not saying that at all. Hopefully, I've made that clear enough. I'm very much talking about situations where people make decisions
Mm-hmm.
that they don't have to make,
Yeah.
and then they want to complain about it because they made a bad decision. Like I said, with your hip, that would be easily a situation that's out of your control that really does suck. That has changed a lot of things, and it would make a lot of sense if you sat there and said like, "This really sucks." But I also appreciate the fact that you're like, "It sucks." You can acknowledge it. It sucks, but I'm gonna figure out ways to keep, like you mentioned, time doesn't stop,
Mm-hmm.
life doesn't stop. You don't become a prisoner to that thing. You keep
Yeah.
moving forward, and so the crazy thing is, I think some people take the mentality that you could have about your hip and they apply it to things like I'm tired because I stayed up all night drinking and now I feel sick and now I'm
Yeah.
tired. You should feel bad for me. It's like, I refuse to feel bad for you. Especially like I said, when someone is dealing with a physical thing and they're not feeling sorry for themselves, like I can't feel sorry for you when you're making poor decisions and it's within your power to change something and
Yes.
you want to complain like I can't do it. And maybe it's because I'm older. You and I are the same age. It's probably there's I don't know, maybe it's just at this point of life that's just how I feel. Maybe it's because I've seen other people that have dealt with some real stuff.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, those people aren't even complaining because
Mhm.
they've already accepted the reality that this is what life is. I can sit here and complain and throw a pity party, or I can keep moving forward and really in a lot of ways inspire people. I mentioned my Aunt Lois, who passed away not too long ago. She had
Mhm.
ALS, and one of the most positive people I've ever met. And if anybody had a right to complain
Mhm.
and be negative about life, it would be her, because that's a terrible disease, but she never was. And so I look at situations like that. It's like, so I'm gonna complain because I have a hole in my shoes, my work shoes, and I have to buy some more. Oh no, how is anybody gonna feel sorry for me, right? Or it's like, oh, I don't have enough money to go get I don't know, whatever coffee drink that I want to buy this morning. Now I'm gonna be cranky. Like, seriously, like that, I can't feel sorry for you. You know what I mean? I can't do it. So there's people out there that deserve that kind of sympathy, and I can't just waste it on people
Yeah.
who make bad decisions. But
Yeah.
that's
Definitely.
just me. But like I said, I do want to make sure I'm very clear as far as saying, if you have some stuff to get off your chest, get it off your chest. Don't hold it in.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely not that. It's a very specific kind of person, and unfortunately, I
Right.
know a few, and
Yeah.
it's tough to hear complaints from people like that. But
Yeah.
um,
It's too
we
many.
are. What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. There's too many people like that, unfortunately. But
It is unfortunate. Yeah.
it's
And if that's you, that's fine. Just don't tell us about it. Just keep it to yourself because it'd make everybody a lot happier. So we're about an hour, so I've been a little bit longer. But this is kind of a big
Is that
question.
shocking? Is that shocking though?
Not really. It's been a minute since you and I have talked too, so this was bound to happen. It's been a couple weeks. We were ahead of schedule. Um, and I did want to ask you this. I don't know if you had more on your list, but I am curious. Um, because, and again, you just tell me it's like I'm not talking to you about that. That's fine. But with the dating stuff, that's
Mhm.
obviously a big decision. And especially you and I don't really talk about that stuff on or off the air very often, but um, it does seem like from what you've said over the years, like there's times where you choose to jump into the dating pool
Mhm.
and see what's out there. There's other times you're making the decision to stay away from it for a while because of either you're just not interested or there's a previous experience that you're like, yeah, I'm good for a minute. That's obviously even just getting into that whole game, right?
Mhm.
Or stepping away from it is a big decision for someone.
Yeah.
So how, I guess, is that a difficult thing for you, or is there? I don't know if that makes sense, but is it like
Yeah.
making the decision to get in or out? I imagine making the decision to get out is probably much easier because you're kind of like X, Y, and Z happened. I'm good for a while, but jumping back in though, I feel like would be potentially a more difficult decision because if you meet someone, if things start working out, then as you mentioned earlier, there's a shifting of your time, right? Like
Mhm.
there's different things that if you want to really get to know someone, you're going to be spending more time with them, and it's going to adjust things here and there, right? And so, what is that decision making like for you when you're like, hey, I'm going to jump back into this world?
It's hard to explain because there is no like I don't like say like, oh, like I'm like it's time to jump in because X, Y, and Z, or it's time
Sure,
to leave because X, Y, and Z. I just kind of go based off of what I feel like doing, um, or like how busy I am, or if I'm like, hey, I'm a little bored relationship wise, like I haven't had, like if I catch myself being like, oh, when's the last time I even like talked to a guy? It's been a while. Like, let's not be a complete recluse. Like, you know, it's
yeah,
so like if anything, I'll look at it as like practice. Um, but it's never unfortunate. I mean, not unfortunately, because I'm not sorry about it, but like it's just not like at the top of my thing to do because I don't have like a goal of like marriage and kids. I'm
hmm,
just kind of like chilling. I'm just kind of focused on my jobs, my friends, family, and now my dog. And so um it'll be very random when I do decide to jump back in. And I'm more so thinking of like online dating when I say jump back in
sure,
because I'm always like in it. Like it'll have like I'll
sure,
meet. is out in the wild, how is how I say it, like at a brewery or
Right.
like on a plane, like I'll like in these random places, and we'll connect and we'll see where it goes, or whatever. So it'll happen when I'm not ready, and it just kind of was like, okay, well, I wasn't really looking to, like, when I meet someone out in the real world and I'm not on a dating app, that's when I'm like unprepared, kind of like not
Sure.
really. So it's interesting to see, like, okay, I'm choosing to get to know this person because they're pretty cool. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but I'm just gonna give it a shot. So I don't know. To answer your question, I don't really have like a formulaic response of like when I'm ready or not. I just kind of go with the flow. I just kind of go and see what happens, and if I don't, if months go by and I haven't gone on a date, I'm like, that's fine. That's
Sure.
okay. But
No, that's a
yeah,
good, that's a good answer. I mean, that's a, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a, it would be, I mean, I'm glad you said that because that would be a little bit weird if it was like, if it was formulaic. It's like, I don't know if that's going to work.
yeah, no, it
Um,
just,
it
yeah,
would seem
it's
weird. That would seem weird to me. Obviously I'm not in it, but it would sound strange to me if there was like a very formulaic, but like you said, it's just kind of, and I was referring more specifically to making the choice of going on like an app, a dating app, and seeking it out. Rather, I know obviously you meet people all the time, so not so much that situation, but actually making the decision to, jump in it like that, where you're
mm,
actively seeking someone. But then, like, how do you make the decision to, like, when you are like you do find someone to, as in probably more, not here to judge, but which yeah, I don't know, it's supposed to happen at some point, people, I don't know.
oh, I know, me, I know. It is, it's going to. I can't promise when, but I have my list of topics. So, okay, wait. So what your question is?
Sorry, I interrupted myself. Uh, how do you, I guess it's kind of a big question, but like, how do you make the decision, or how do you for yourself decide that this, you meet someone and this person is worth the risk to get to know more, right? Like you want to actually start dating that person, and because that's, because
Mhm.
dating different people is a decision. Getting out there and putting yourself out there is a decision, but like actually making the decision to go further to get to know someone and spend time with that person exclusively is a much bigger decision, because there's
Yeah,
obviously, it's like a high risk, high reward type situation, right?
yeah,
You might find something really special with someone. If it doesn't work out, it's going to lead to a lot of, you know,
yeah,
unnecessary, not unnecessary, but like a lot of uh, potentially awkward,
mhm,
uncomfortable
yeah.
conversation situations, and then ultimately it doesn't work out. So, for
Yeah.
you, how do you make the decision to pursue something like that?
I just see if, I mean, the vibes just got to be there. Like, there has to be like we have similar things to talk about. We're asking each other questions. Like, we're
Sure,
genuinely interested in each other.
sure,
Um, Not just a one-way street, which I'm sure I'm guilty of it too, but I've been on dates where guys talk about themselves the whole time. And at the end of the date, they couldn't even say what I do for a living. Like they have no idea. And
yeah,
so, it's a personality thing, it's a character trait thing. It's just you can kind of tell. I'm at the point where I can tell after the first date, like, no, like there's no connection and this is not gonna happen. Or like, oh, he was really cool. Like I really enjoyed talking with him. Now, I don't know, like sometimes I'm oblivious and I don't know if they feel the same way. So I usually wait, like I don't like make the next move or anything. I'm like, if they want to, they will, and if not, I'm fine. It's okay.
sure.
So I just kind of see the vibe of like, if we have things to talk about. If you can't talk to me, then it's already over. Like, because I obviously like talking.
Be tough. Yeah, be tough.
So yeah. So it
Yeah,
just, it's hard because it takes so long to get to know someone, like their
sure.
true selves. So I could be getting to know someone for a month or two, or maybe even 3 months. And I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but I'm just giving an example. Then the fourth month, boom,
So if
like,
you're listening, she's not talking about you. Don't give us a 1-star rating.
except for what? Who? What?
Yeah, whoever, if you think she's talking about you, she's not. And so don't take this personally and go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give us a 1-star review. Don't do it.
No, yeah, it's not about you. So,
It's about
but
me. It might ego as far as our rating. So don't do it, please.
But it could be 2, 3 months in and everything's going great. And then boom, all of a sudden on the fourth month, some things come up and I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that's not going to work. Or like, this is not the type of partnership I wanted.
Sure.
Um, or vice versa. Or maybe they're like, oh, you know, that's not for me. Like it just can all of a sudden come up. So I'm
Sure.
not, which is even more important for anyone, maybe. I'll stick with me, I guess, for me to not rush into anything just
Sure.
because sometimes you don't know someone until like after like such a long time. So I'm never in a hurry. I'm always like, if a natural romantic and friendship is gonna form and things are going good, then it's gonna take some time. So I'll try to I try not to let things go on for too long if I start seeing things or start feeling a certain way. um, I'll be like, no, let's not waste each other's time.
Sure.
Because so yeah, so getting into it is okay. Once I'm into it, getting out of it is can be difficult just because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings and I don't want to make the wrong just like am I making the wrong choice? Like am I making a mistake here? Should I give this more time? Am I ending
See,
it
and that's
too?
what I guess that's what I was curious about. Because like that is one of the more difficult decisions that people have to make, right, in life is to keep moving
Well,
through and like you're trying to decide, is this a is this something that is going to be a problem that is a reason for this whole thing to be broken off, or is this something that is, you really like the person and it's something that you can work, you maybe give a shot and try to work through it or try to figure it out, right? Even that's a big decision for someone to make, because you're either going to prolong something that's not great because you think
right.
it might work out, or like you mentioned, you kind of just cut it off right away, and it's like, if you would have given it some more time, maybe there would have been an opportunity to kind of figure things out, and maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought in the moment. So it's a very, it's not life or death decision making, but like it's a stressful decision to make.
And I'm not one to be like, oh you did one thing that I don't like, we're done. Like it's not like that. It's a
That's
oh
why we're
wait.
still podcasting together. She hasn't cut me off yet.
Yeah.
There's been times where she could have.
I'll wait for it to become a pattern. And I'm just using an
Sure.
example of let's say there's something there that I don't like. I don't know. I'll wait for it to become a pattern and then I'll address it or I'll try to address it sooner. And I actually look at their response to how I ask about it or bring it up or talk about it or whatever.
Sure.
So it's how they respond that says everything because obviously not everyone's going to agree on everything in a relationship and it's hard. It's not going to you're gonna fight, you're gonna have disagreements, you're going to but it's how you come out of it. If I've learned anything in relationships and how you respond to it and how you work together as a team and what solution can you come up with, or do you want to just disagree to agree to disagree and for the time being and then reconvene later. Like there's just so many things that happen. So I very much look at their response when I bring something up, and it's not a gotcha thing, it's not a I'm giving you a test thing, it's a genuine like, hey, this thing bothers me, or hey, can we talk about this, or hey, here's something we haven't talked about and for the future, can we bring it up now because we're 5 6 months in, like we haven't talked about it yet. So it just their response says a lot.
Sure.
And so that's how I make those next step decisions. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
not that I'm an expert on any of that, but so far that's what I do.
Well, there you
So
go. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. Well, and I think you even, like you said, making the decision not to rush into certain things,
Hmm.
and even that is like a decision that would probably, prevent you from having to make even more unnecessary difficult decisions, right? Like just making that decision ahead of time, not to get swept up in something crazy,
Hmm.
only to be realize you made a bunch of bad decisions along the way.
Right.
So,
That's it.
anyways, I was just curious,
Yeah.
because
But
that's obviously.
relationships was on my list, so that was good. We covered check.
Oh, perfect, good.
Yeah.
'Cause we got talking about some other stuff for a long time. So
Yeah.
here we are, an hour and 14 minutes in. So, um, Anything else, Deb, you wanted to mention about decision making, anything like that before we get out of here?
I'm trying to decide if I want to shower tonight or not, if I just want to go straight to bed.
How's the dog feel about that?
Probably shower.
Okay.
She doesn't care. She's
You
already
sure? Because last time we were on here, the dog, you were saying that the dog was, not super psyched about sleeping in your bed, try to make the escape, and it could be a hygiene thing.
she's better now. She like so
That poor
my
dog's just accepted its reality.
my friend watched her while I was in Nashville, and my friend doesn't want dogs on her furniture, and so I was like, "Oops, sorry in advance," because I let her all over mine. And so she was laughing because she said that. I was like, "Did she try to get on your bed?" She's like, "Yep," but she's so short, she'll just put her paws up and wait for you to pick her back legs up
Oh,
to help her
cut
up.
out a little bit.
Oh, so she'll. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
My back. Yeah. So
you're back. Yeah.
she'll put her paws up, and then I have to pick up her butt to lift her up. So my friend said she would put her paws on the bed, and she'd be like, "No, get down." So see, she likes sleeping on the bed. It's a routine for her now. I made it her routine.
Oh, you pause again.
Oh, fabulous! That means it's time. The
Yep.
Riverside, you guys are done. Well
Yep.
done.
We might be done at that point. Okay. Before this thing pauses again,
Okay.
Deb, where can they follow us
We
on
paused.
social media?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm back. Are you back?
I'm back. Oh man, this thing's really struggling.
No, it's struggling. Okay, let's just hurry up and get out of here.
Okay. You guys can follow us at Connectable Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Connectable Pod on X, also known as Twitter. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can watch us there, which is always a lot of fun. And please, if you would be so kind, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We would definitely appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. Check us out on all those places. And we will talk to you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.